Hello and welcome back to the Tin Barn. I'm Pragmatic Lee, and in this week's video we're going to continue on the ToeJack build. In last week's video I pointed out that there'd probably be three videos in this series. The first video, of course, last week we were preparing the bottle jacks. We made our knobs for the two bottle jacks and drilled our holes for mounting the jacks on the base plate. And I said that the second video would probably be material prep, and then the third video, assembly. Well, when I got to going on the material prep, I realized everything in that was basically the bandsaw, which might be interesting for a minute or two, but before long, it'd probably get kind of boring. So I went ahead and cut the parts for the two bottle jacks. I'll show all them to you in just a second. But I've got the parts cut, and what we're going to do today is put the second of the two jacks together. I went ahead and put one of them together as to be sure everything was going to work as I'd planned. I'll show you that one, and we'll do the build again. Most of this is going to be welding, which there's not a lot to see in welding, but I explained to you what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and we'll put it together and then maybe try it out. I do want to say one thing about last week's video on the jack prep. I really appreciate all the views. That video is probably my best performing video for the first week. Well, it's only been 5 days out now, about 4 days out, but it's been the best performing video ever in that period of time. It'll be interesting to see how this second video goes, and there may still be a third video in the end, because after I got the first one built, I saw a thing or two that I might want to do in a third video. Let's look now at the one that I've got completed, and we'll go over each of the parts involved in it. Okay, here's the first of the two toe jacks. This one, of course, already assembled. What we have for the base is a 1/2 inch steel plate. It's 6 inches wide, and I believe that was 6 by 10. Let me double check that. Yes, 6 by 10, 1/2 inch thick plate. The toe, and for the lack of a better term, I'll call this the heel, are made out of 1/2 inch angle iron. These were reasonably sharp corner angle iron, didn't have a big sweep in that. This came from a piece of angle iron that was 8 inches long. A friend of mine gave me probably 3 years ago. He gave me 2 of them. I made an angle block out of one of them, and the other one was just kind of sitting around. So I cut it into four pieces, 2 for each jack, and then carried it back to the saw and cut them to length for the toe and the heel. This tube that's here, this is a 1 inch by 1.5 inches, 1 by 1.5 solid steel. This tube fits over it. This is a 200 thousandths thick wall. And where that came from was an old brush hog that I had that I just recently sent to the junkyard, or sent to the salvage yard, sold for scrap. Salvaged off a few pieces, one of them being the PTO shaft. But I cut those to length, and we'll go over those when we start looking at the other parts here. But again, the way this works, with jack tightened down, And I was a little concerned to begin with on this that I may have to put some kind of stop on it to keep from going too high and falling off this piece. So let's get to the, all right, there's the max on the jack. If I hold my finger right here, we still got 2.5 inches maybe, 2 inches. So we should be fine with running the jack all the way up, should I need to lift something that high. All right, let's look over now at the parts, the individual parts, and what we're going to be doing today. All right, of course, first thing, we got our bottle jack prepared in the previous video, holes drilled and the knob installed. This is our steel plate, and this is the piece that's going to be the toe. So what we'll need to do is lay this out and mark that out. Once that's done, I've got this this solid piece of that PTO shaft. I've got it prepped on the end by about a 1/4 inch bevel all the way around. That'll give me plenty of room to put my weld joint in. We'll weld that all around the base, weld this to it. Then we'll set this on, put our bottle jack on, and again the heel, we'll cut this outside diameter tube, cut it to length, weld this on at the same time that we're welding in a plug in the top up here. So the first thing we need to do is lay out for that toe. All right, there's some scribe marks for the actual size of the toe. Now what I'm going to do is take a small set of dividers. I've got these set up on 125 thousandths, and which is of course 1/8 of an inch. I'm going to get a little line. I'll explain to you what this is for in just a second. All right, so I've got 1/8 of an inch marked in both directions on each corner. All right, what I'm going to do, I'm going to drill a 1/4 inch hole at each of these two marks. I'll bandsaw this in to where it comes into that hole I drilled. And then, for lack of a better way of doing it, I'm going to set this up on the mill and mill this line out. If you know a better way of cutting that blind edge in there, drop me a comment and let me know, because I spent a lot of time trying to think this through on how I will get that out. Now I realized if it was a wood piece, I could keep working it around in the bandsaw until I could make a 90-degree turn in there. But we're talking about 1/2 inch thick steel plate here, plus the blade on the bandsaw is a 1/2 inch wide, so it will take a whole lot of notching to make that turn. So like I say, what we're going to do, we'll go over to the drill press, drill a 1/4 inch hole here, then on the bandsaw, cut these two from the end. I'm using a 3/16 end mill, just smaller end mill I can get into the corner a little bit better. And I'm only taking about 35 thousandths or so depth each pass. Taking quite a few passes, but I don't want to break that end mill. And of course the holes drilled on each side is somewhere for the end mill to sink down into without having to cut depth as well. All right, now I'm going to come into each side and clean those edges, saw cut edges up a little bit. All right, got a good fit in there. I do need to file out these corners just a little bit on the bottom side. All right, I don't think I pointed it out before, but the relation of the height of this inner core piece is basically the height of the bottle. So now what we want to do is get this located in place. We'll set our toe in here. And I just, in my parts bin, if you will, scrap bin, I found this piece of, it was some kind of a washer or something I saved. But it's the same thickness as the wall of this outer tube. So I'm going to use that as a spacer. Clean a couple of burrs right there. All right, I'm going to carry this over into the dirty side of the tin board and get that welded up and come right back. Okay, our pedestal is welded in place now and had time to cool. We'll set our toe back in. Put our sleeve on. Now what we want to do next is measure this for height. And the reason I didn't do that to begin with, I didn't know how much weld I'd have down here that would cause this to stand up. All right, I'm going to carry this over to the bandsaw, saw that off there, and then we'll come back and lay out the toe and the heel. Okay, we got our outer sleeve cut to length now, and I had intended to run that up about a turn and a half, just so I was certain I had clearance. But since I forgot to do that, I cut it about 1/8 of an inch longer at the saw itself. So now I can run that up and get that about flush. Now I want to put a plug in the end down here just to keep foreign matter from falling in. This is a piece cut off of the pedestal material, so it slides in and out there freely. The way I'm going to hold it in place when I get ready to weld it, got this 1/2 inch bolt here with a nut that give me just a little bit of height adjustment. I think in this case just the bolt will be fine. I'll drop that in. All right, that's a little bit low. I'll run the nut up on the bolt a little bit. And that's sticking up just a little, which is fine. And then this will go up there. I'm going to carry all this around to the, again, to the dirty side. Clamp this up. Weld this across the top. Clean it up some. Then we'll come back and look at the jack mount. All right, now we have our toe, and again, lack of a better term, we'll call it the heel, mounted on our sleeve. We'll set the jack in place. And I think what I'm going to do this time, on this one, I mounted the jack out in this direction, which meant, of course, the handle is going to stick out perpendicular to the, or in line parallel with the toe. I think what I want to do for this one is turn the jack 90 degrees so the handle comes out to the side. That way I've got one that if I'm in a tight spot getting in this way between the machine or whatever and some other piece of equipment, I can come in this way, and in this one I can come in the 6-inch. I might even go over to the bandsaw and cut this extra off of this. As a matter of fact, I'm sure I will. But right now, let's get this jack lined up. First thing I want to do is be sure the jack is centered under the heel up here. Then I want to square the jack up. Now I've got a little bit deeper C-clamp right here. Let's see if it's deep enough. Yeah, I saw it move. All right, now that the jack is secured, we'll use the transfer punch. The mark I just made right there is where we're going to cut this piece on the bandsaw. All right, these 4 holes right here, you would think would be just as easy as drilling and tapping, but spindle on the drill press is not going to go here, and it probably won't get this one either. But don't forget, remember I showed you in the previous video that set of extra long drill bits? That's what we'll do, is drill these 2 from the top, drill these 2 with just a regular length drill, turn it over, and then tap from the back side. Let me mark these holes a little deeper. All right, let's turn back over to the drill press and drill and tap these. All right, these are going to be drilled and tapped for 1/4 20. So I've got the tap drill for 1/4 20. Okay, I know I won't be able to drill this hole, but I may be able to get to that one right there. Nope, it's not going to quite do it. Now this long bit I've got is not the same size as the tap drill. It's just a little smaller. So what we'll do is drill from the top side with this long drill, and then drill from the back side with the tap drill. Might just have to look one day project of putting a power lift on the drill press. Now I'm sure you can imagine. If you can't, I'll remind you. But a drill bit this long has got a lot of flex in it. So I got to take it real careful that I don't bend the drill or worse yet, break it. All right, I'll get set up in the vise. Drill this one with the tap drill, and then tap all 4 of them. All right, 4 holes are drilled and tapped. Let's go back to the workbench and put the pieces together. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and assemble this one, even though I'm going to take it right back apart to paint it. But I do want to get everything test fitted. All right, I think I'll just stop with those 2 just for until we get ready to put it back together. I mean, paint it and put it together. As you can see, I got this cut off over here on this end. And let's see, I got to put the jack back together. All right, let's see if we can find a little something to pick up right quick. Okay, I think probably the heaviest item I have here in the tin barn that is easily accessible is my surface grinder. So let's slide it under there. And as you see, it's picking it up with no problem at all. I don't want to pick it up a whole lot. I don't think it'll tilt over. I think that's going to be a success. What I'm going to do now is take it apart, degrease it good, paint it, and then we'll do a quick recap. Okay, I think we're ready to wrap up this video on the building the second ToeJack. Not sure if any of you remember the Star Trek episode from January 1969 called Let This Be Your Last Battlefield. If you don't recall that, take a moment and Google it. Star Trek, Let This Be Your Last Battlefield. Once you look at that and jog your memory a little bit, you'll see why this paint scheme reminded me of it. But we're completed, but I think there's going to be one more episode in this ToeJack build. When I carried this one over to the surface grinder to demonstrate picking up one side of it, something became very apparent to me, and it was actually apparent after building this one, but even more so after picking it up and carrying it over there. There's nowhere to get hold of it. You can't pick it up here. If you do, you leave the jack behind, and all you do is take this the lift, the toe and the heel. So I think there's going to be one more episode, and in it I'm going to devise a handle, a way to lift these to transport them, put them in your vehicle, carry them to a machine, whatever the situation. So stick with me. If nothing happens, it'll be next week's video. But if it don't make it for next week, it'll be one upcoming soon. Hope you've enjoyed this preparation of the jack and the actual build of the ToeJack. Take care, and I'll see you on the next video.